So I'm just sat in the car waiting for Mum, so I thought I would give you an update on how the appointment went yesterday, when I went for my weight management appointment. It went differently than expected. It didn't go badly, but it didn't go the way I expected it to go. So I had my general check, so I had my weight, height, blood pressure, O2 levels, all of that checked before I went in. Thankfully, one of my friends, well, I say one of my friends, she's my mum's friend, bless her, works there, and she did all of my checks because she is the nurse for the doctor or professor I was seeing anyway. So I didn't mind her seeing all of that stuff, so she put me right at ease when I got in there. It was quite chilled when I got in there. I wasn't overly stressed when I got in there, which was good. Obviously I was anxious because I didn't exactly know what was going to happen, but I got straight in pretty much, and we went over some background information, general stuff like that. We went over some trauma. He wanted to talk to me about the trauma that I've been through in my life. We talked about symptoms that I've got. We talked about my weight over my life. My weight has been like throughout my life, and he asked what things I've thought about. So obviously I explained that for me, I would like to have the injections, but I have spoken and played with the idea about having surgery. We talked all about that, pros and cons to each one, and obviously surgery is not something that's on the top of my list. Well, it wasn't going into the appointment. The injections were the top of my list, because I know that Mum has had them. She has type 2 diabetes, I believe, and so she gets them on that. And she went in with the idea of getting the injections. However, to get the injections for weight management, they have been held back for weight loss patients until May, because America have bought them all, and that might be held back again, and potentially they could get taken away in 2 years' time, because it's like a trial thing, and so it could get taken away from me in 2 years' time. Could carry on, but it could get taken away in 2 years' time. If I stop the injections, the weight will go back on. I would get put on a dosage of 2.4. My mum is currently on 1, and she suffered going from 0.5 to 1. She is now steady-ish, but it's quite intense, and to go straight on at 2.4, I can't go any lower than that because they don't give it to you lower than that for weight. So it's quite intense. So it's not as straightforward as I thought, the injections. The reason why there's obviously obvious reasons why I thought no to surgery, the obvious ones. Then there was the things about wanting to start a family. Speaking to my doctor yesterday, he said that actually it would be fine. They just advise that once you've had surgery, you don't try and have children for like 12 to 18 months afterwards. Would go for a gastric bypass instead of a sleeve, because I do suffer with indigestion. So that is pretty much the only reason why we would swap around, and also because a gastric bypass can be reversed. Had I, for whatever reason, need to reverse it, it can be, but a sleeve cannot. I actually came out of the appointment seriously thinking about having surgery. I've been put on the waiting list for the injections, but it's highly unlikely I will not go for the injections because of the other risks. Obviously surgery is very risky, but at the same time it is a lifelong thing compared to the injections, that if I stop, the weight will go on, whereas surgery is for life. Doesn't mean I have to take vitamins for life and things like that for life, but I do that anyway. It happened that I was wearing a short sleeve t-shirt because I assumed that I probably need to get blood tests, and that was the most easy thing to wear. So I was just wearing that, and it's warm in the hospital, so I had taken my coat off, and he noticed my marks on the inside of my arm. Now, that I had always put down to psoriasis, which is what the GP had put it down to, because we had assumed that I'd got psoriasis in my scalp. And I get it on my inside of my arms, around my neck, under my arms, under my boobs. We had also discussed that I have quite thick, deep stretch marks underneath my belly and around my belly. He checked my neck, he checked my underarms, and he checked my stretch marks. I'm going for further testing because he reckons that my cortisol levels are higher than expected. We have done some of our research on our own, but through what he has been talking about, and through what he has mentioned with his testing, we're going to do some DNA testing, we're going to do I've got to do a 24-hour urine testing, which is wonderful. But that will show if the cortisol levels are high. My blood should show it as well. I also have a lump at the top of my spine, which I've always put down to the fact that I have bad posture. But my mum's always been concerned about it. My dad has also always noticed it. And considering I've been a dancer since I was 3, yes, okay, I stopped when I was 16, but I've always had to be in a specific position when dancing, so I should always have pretty good posture. And so it's quite weird that I have such bad posture, if it is down to posture. So, but I've just ignored it as posture. However, there is something called Cushing's disease, or Cushing's syndrome, which Dad had found out yesterday. He just typed in cortisol, because that is obviously what my doctor had spoken about yesterday, and this thing came up. We looked at images and we literally went, that's me in a picture, and it's scarily accurate. The symptoms are scarily accurate to my symptoms that I have, including what we thought were fibro symptoms. So who knows whether or not we can fix this. So basically, if it is this, it may mean that this lump on the back of my neck is a benign tumour, and that is what's actually causing all of my issues, including what we thought was fibro. So we shall see. I will obviously keep you updated. In terms of how I feel right now, I don't really know how I feel. I feel scared of what could happen. I feel relieved if this is actually what I have, that we've actually got a proper diagnosis for what I have, and everything would then start to make sense. I feel excited that I could get back to somewhat of a normal life, because I have not had that. I don't know, there's lots of emotion going on right now, but I will keep you updated and let you know when I do more testing, when I get test updates. Yeah, I'll keep you updated.